certainly politicians right now are very consumed with talking about the middle class. And what people have started to do, I think, is try to draw attention to inequality, which relates poverty to the middle class and demonstrates that if everyone is not doing relatively well, then it actually has an impact on people at every income level. So I think that the idea of inequality has kind of caught attention, but I'm afraid sometimes that what gets lost in that is actually paying attention to people who are living in poverty and who don't have enough money to make ends meet. Women are more likely to live in poverty, and some groups of women in particular are much more likely to live in poverty. So single mothers are very likely to live in poverty. Older women have much higher rates of poverty than do men. And the reasons have to do partly with the fact that even when women are employed, they're less likely to be employed full-time, so they're 3 times as likely to be employed part-time, and they also make less. So even if they're working full-time, they're still making on average 20% less than their male peers. And even if that doesn't sound like a lot, if you're making a reasonable amount of money, if you're making $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year, taking a 20 or 30% haircut on that paycheck is absolutely a difference between buying groceries that week or not. So the wage gap, the fact that men and women work in different sectors, and then the double burden of unpaid work that women carry. So the fact that women spend more time looking after family members, children, aging parents, means that they're less able to do paid work, right? It cuts into the hours of the day. And so that means that there are some specific challenges for women who are trying to move themselves out of poverty. I think because women are placed differently in the economy than men are, and that's just a fact. They work different hours for different amounts. They're more likely to work part-time. They're almost twice as likely to work for minimum wage. They're much more likely to be caring for children. And that means if we're going to develop a solution to women's poverty, we really have to look at the specific barriers that women face. It's not to say that men don't face barriers. It's just that they're different by and large. And so there's no way to have a solution without making sure that solution fits the kind of challenges that women are facing when they're trying to move out of poverty. And that's why it's so important to have programs like the Canadian Women's Foundation's programs, which really do that kind of wraparound look that looks at, is this woman caring for a young child? Does she have an aging parent? Does she have other dependents in the house? Does she need to do shift work? Is she getting paid, more than minimum wage? All of those things are really important for making sure that women in particular are able to move out of poverty.